Hello and good evening. You're watching the news on Sansad TV live at 9 p.m. I'm Bhawna Nayar. These are the latest headlines of this Monday. Former Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh merges his Punjab Lok Congress with BJP. Union Minister Narendra Singh Tomar says BJP's strength will increase in Punjab. Charge sheet filed against former Bengal Minister Partha Chatterjee and Associate Arpita Mukherjee. State Assembly passes resolution against central investigation agencies. State funeral of Queen Elizabeth II in London. World leaders including President Murmu and Joe Biden pay last respects. Markets rebound after three-day decline. Sensex rises 300 points. Nifty closes at 17,622.25 points. And China and US trade warnings over Taiwan. China says it will not tolerate any activity that threatens its sovereignty. And let us now give you more important news in our flash segment. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh leaves on two-day official visit to Egypt to review bilateral defence ties with Egyptian counterpart in Cairo. Union Minister Narendra Singh Tomar addresses global meet on plant genetic resources for food and agriculture, emphasizes crop diversification to meet increasing demand for food grains. Constitution Bench of Supreme Court says larger bench judgment will prevail irrespective of number of judges in majority. Union Minister Jitendra Singh to lead ministerial delegation to Global Clean Energy Action Forum at Pittsburgh, US. State-level Niti Aayog to be set up in Maharashtra to focus on sectors like agriculture, health, education, employment and environment. Centre to bring new national tourism policy before budget session of Parliament. Launch Ambedkar Tourist Circuit soon. Supreme Court refuses to entertain petitions seeking SIT probe into Kashmiri Pandit exodus and killing in J&K. NASA to perform a cryogenic demonstration test for Artemis mission on 21st September. Joe Biden reiterates US troops will defend Taipei against unprecedented attack by China's People Liberation Army. And China's epidemiologist warns locals against touching foreigners a day after country records first monkeypox infection. And now the lead story of the day. Former Punjab Chief Minister and Chief of Punjab Lok Congress, Captain Amrinder Singh, joined the BJP today. Singh also merged his newly formed Punjab Lok Congress with the BJP. He joined the BJP in presence of senior BJP leaders Narendra Singh Tomar and Kiran Rijiju. Along with him, former Deputy Speaker of Punjab Assembly Ajay Singh Bhatti also joined the BJP. Singh had floated the PLC last year after quitting the Congress following his unceremonious exit as Chief Minister. Singh, the two-time former Chief Minister, is the scion of the erstwhile Patiala royal family.
Today, grateful to the Prime Minister, who I met a few days ago, and the Home Minister, who I met a few days ago and met him a few minutes ago also, and the party President, Nadda Sahab, and all senior colleagues here who are sitting, the ministers, who have found the time and the ability and the interest in seeing us join as a party.
Moving on, the Enforcement Directorate has filed a charge sheet before a special PMLA court in Kolkata against former West Bengal Minister Partha Chatterjee and his alleged close associate Arpita Mukherjee. The charge sheet has been filed in connection with the School Service Commission recruitment scam under various sections of the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Chatterjee and Mukherjee were held on 23rd July by the ED. 8 entities, including Chatterjee and Mukherjee, have been named in the charge sheet. The ED said that it has attached assets worth Rs 46.22 crore beneficially owned by Partha Chatterjee and Arpita Mukherjee. The attached properties include 40 immovable assets such as farmhouse, flats and land in Kolkata worth rupees 40.33 crore, rupees 7.89 crore worth deposits kept in 35 bank accounts have been seized. Meanwhile, the West Bengal Assembly passed the resolution under Rule 169 against the excess use of central investigation agencies in the state. President Draupadi Murmu attended the state funeral of Queen Elizabeth II at Westminster Abbey in London today. Foreign Secretary Vinay Quatra also attended the Queen's funeral. The President and the Foreign Secretary arrived at the Abbey in a procession alongside other Commonwealth heads of state and government. On Sunday, she signed a condolence book on behalf of the Indian government at Lancaster House in London. Murmu also paid her respects at Westminster Hall. On Sunday, she also attended a reception hosted by King Charles at Buckingham Palace along with all other visiting world leaders. Chimes of the Big Ben fell silent and hymns rang out as the coffin of Queen Elizabeth II was carried into Westminster Abbey on Monday for the state funeral of Britain's longest-serving monarch. Thousands of guests and millions watched the occasions on screens worldwide. His report.
The Big Ben, the iconic London landmark housed in the Elizabeth Tower, named after the late Queen, tolled every minute, 96 times to mark each year of the late sovereign's life as a procession led by King Charles III entered the historic 11th century abbey. The coffin draped with the royal standard was adorned with flowers from the King's royal homes and the instruments of state made up of the diamond-encrusted imperial state crown and the orb and the scepter, which were gifted to the Queen at her coronation in the same abbey in 1953. The hour-long service included a collection of traditional hymns and new pieces of choral music created specially for the occasion. In his sermon, Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, said, Her late Majesty famously declared in her 21st birthday broadcast that her whole life would be dedicated to serving the nation and Commonwealth. Rarely has such a promise been so well kept. As the clock struck 11 a.m. local time, the Queen's eldest son and heir, Charles, followed the coffin, which had been laying in state at Westminster Hall since last Wednesday, in solemn procession, accompanied by his sons, Princes William and Harry, and siblings, Princess Anne and Princes Andrew and Edward. There was military procession in the ceremony following days of rehearsals by nearly 6,000 armed forces personnel involved in the grand ceremony. The service, which concluded with a 2-minute nationwide silence and the national anthem, God Save the King, marked the culmination of the first part of the funeral. A committal service will take place at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, where the Queen will be laid to rest with her late husband in a private burial ceremony. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Moving on, the Indian Army has invited the domestic defense industry to offer critical defense equipment for emergency procurement. The Indian Army said that the move is in keeping with its commitment to fight the future wars with indigenous solutions. The Army said that the procurement window will be open to the Indian industry for 6 months, and the equipment will have to be delivered within 1 year of signing the contract. Procurement cases will be based on open tender inquiry. Proposals are being fielded for guns, missiles, drones, counter-drone, Reuter munition, communication and optical systems, specialist vehicles, engineering equipment, and alternate energy resources. The Indian Army and the government has been focusing on a robust, secure, speedy and Atmanirbhar logistics system to effectively deal with future security challenges. Kerala Governor Arif Muhammad Khan has accused the state's left-front government of silencing voices of dissent, launching an attack on the ruling LDF over issues including its alleged heckling at a varsity in 2019, functioning of the universities in the state, and the state's revenue generation largely dependent on lottery and liquor sales. He also shared a video clipping of him being allegedly heckled at the Kannur University event in 2019. He also shared some correspondence with the Pinarayi Vijayan government over the functioning of varsities.
Of the use of force to silence dissent, difference of opinion, and to liquidate those whom they consider their class enemies. Who are the class enemies? Class enemies are those who have a politically different viewpoint.
In other news from across the nation now. A delegation of Gurudwara Sri Bala Sahib on Monday visited Prime Minister Modi at his residence at 7 Lok Kalyan Marg to offer prasad after it organized an Akhand Path from September 15th to 17th to mark his birthday on Saturday. The delegation performed Ardas, a prayer offered by Sikhs. The Supreme Court referred to a 5-judge constitution bench a suo motu petition. It calls for guidelines to be framed on mitigating circumstances that need to be considered in cases entailing death penalty. A bench headed by Chief Justice Uday Umesh Lalit said it is the matter required a hearing by a larger bench for clarity. As part of its investigation into the West Bengal school recruitment scam, the Enforcement Directorate provisionally attached assets worth Rs 48 crore beneficially owned by former West Bengal Minister Partha Chatterjee and his aide Arpita Mukherjee. On Friday, Chatterjee was transferred to a CBI custody till 21st September after the agency filed a petition in the Alipur Court of Kolkata. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India made multiple amendments and clarification to the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code to help creditors fetch better value for distressed assets. One of the changes is the splitting of companies to attract more participants into the corporate resolution process. SEBI is boosting surveillance of social media and other platforms through a web intelligence tool using artificial intelligence to probe violations of securities laws by individuals, groups, and other entities. The capital markets regulator has invited expression of interest from solution providers to implement and maintain the web intelligence tool. And now news from the world of business and economy. Union Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal held talks with Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman Al Saud of Saudi Arabia on strengthening bilateral trade. Both sides discussed the feasibility of institutionalizing rupee-rial trade and introduction of UPI and RuPay system in the kingdom. Goyal also interacted with CEOs of different companies during his visit. The government has warned of strict action against hoarders of wheat amid rising prices due to speculative trading. The government assured consumers that adequate wheat stocks were available to meet domestic demand. It said that nearly 24 million tons of wheat is also available in FCI godowns. Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann said he is considering the proposal for reviving the old pension scheme for government employees in Punjab. Delhi Chief Minister and AAP convener Arvind Kejriwal hailed the announcement, saying all government employees want the scheme to be restored. The then Punjab government had done away with the old pension scheme in 2004. Markets across the nation rebounded after a 3-day decline to register a growth of 0.5% to close at 59,141. NSE Nifty gained 0.5% to close at 17,622. Mahindra & Mahindra made strong gains of 3.05%, while Nestle India, Bajaj Finance and SBI also performed well. Global markets saw a declining trend as stocks across Asia, Europe and US went down by 1 to 1.5%. Hang Seng, Kospi and Nikkei 225 all declined by 1 to 1.5%. Nasdaq saw losses of up to 0.29%. Slipping into a very short break here, but on the other side, Hungary promises to ensure corruption safeguards on European Union funds. All this and much more after this short break. You stay tuned to Sansad TV for more news.
The India startup story. Powerful ideas. Dynamic solutions. Innovation. Enterprise. Its success and challenges. Packed in a brand new show, The Journey of Startups, only on Sansad TV.
The only show of its kind that tries to demystify diplomacy and make complex international issues understandable to everyone. I am Vikas Swaroop. And every week, I bring you a new dispatch from the front lines of foreign affairs. We talk to the best experts who enlarge our understanding of foreign affairs and show us why the world matters to India and why India matters to the world. So keep watching Diplomatic Dispatch only on Sansad Television.
The glorious journey of India's 75 years of independence, protection of rights, ensuring equality, to empower, to deliver justice. Laws that have defined India and its people, laws that everyone should know. Watch 75 years, laws that shaped India. With me, Hemant Batra, only on Sansad TV.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news and it's time for all the updates from the Russia-Ukraine battlefront. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has vowed that the country was preparing for the next series of reclamation of its territory. Zelensky said that all of Ukraine must be free and its soldiers were aiming to retake cities including Mariupol, Kherson and Donetsk. Ukrainian forces have pressed a significant counter-offensive in the areas of the northeastern Kharkiv region, which has been occupied by Russia for months. Russian troops struck a nuclear power plant in Ukraine's southern Mykolaiv region early on Monday. However, Ukraine's state nuclear company, Energoatom, said that its reactors were not damaged and working normally. A blast took place 300 meters away from the reactors and damaged power plant buildings shortly after midnight. The attack has also damaged a nearby hydroelectric power plant and transmission lines. Ukrainian President Zelensky said Russia is endangering the whole world. He also shared the CCTV video on Telegram that he said showed the moment of explosion. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said on Sunday that mass graves found in Ukraine were evidence of Russia's war crimes. He added that full accountability for Russia's actions was needed. Trudeau, who is in London for the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, met with British Prime Minister Liz Truss. He said that the Russian invasion of Ukraine was on top of their agenda. He said that UK and Canada have two of the strongest countries in support of Ukraine and pushing back against Russia's illegal actions. Ukrainian forces claim that they have regained control of the east bank of the river Oskil, which is seen as the front line with Russian troops in northeast Ukraine. The Ukrainian armed forces wrote on Telegram late Sunday that Ukraine now controls the east bank. Russia's army has been almost completely pushed out of the Kharkiv region, and a regional leader said that the next target would be neighboring Luhansk in the Donbas region. US President Joe Biden has urged Russian President Vladimir Putin not to use tactical nuclear or chemical weapons in Ukraine. In a television interview, Biden said that it would change the face of war unlike anything since World War II. Putin said that Putin has warned Moscow that it would respond more forcefully if its troops were put under further pressure, raising concerns that he could at some point use nuclear or chemical weapons. And here are today's global updates. The European Union's executive branch has recommended that the bloc suspend around 7.5 billion euros in funding to Hungary over concerns about democratic backsliding and the possible mismanagement of EU's money. Here's more.
Hungary on Sunday pledged to meet all of its commitments made to the European Commission to unlock European Union funding after the EU executive proposed suspending some 7.5 billion euros for Hungary over corruption. Hungarian negotiators at the EU said they hoped the country's measures would be sufficient to convince the EU Commission that safeguards will be implemented to protect EU funds. They also insisted that Hungary was making commitments that they know can be implemented and hence will not be facing a loss of funds. The European Commission announced its ruling on Sunday. It highlighted systemic irregularities in Hungary's public procurement laws, insufficient safeguards against conflicts of interest, weaknesses in effective prosecution, and shortcomings in other anti-graft measures. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government said it will submit laws to Parliament on Friday to establish a new independent anti-graft authority to monitor the public procurement of EU funds. Hungary also pledged to implement several other anti-corruption safeguards, including tighter rules on conflicts of interest, extending the scope of financial statements, and broadening the power of judges to pursue suspected corruption. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Moving on, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says that the world needs to turn around in aspects including geopolitical division, climate change, the pandemic, and inequality. He was speaking ahead of the UN's General Assembly debate this week. More details in this report.
Speaking in the New York City ahead of the UN's General Assembly's general debate, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said the world needs cooperation and dialogue, but present geopolitical divides are not allowing it to happen. We need to change the course.
The geopolitical divisions that we are witnessing today are terrible when the world is facing climate change, when the world is facing the perspective of other pandemics and the COVID has not yet been solved, when the world is facing high levels of inequality between developed countries and developing countries, and huge inequality inside countries, when the world needs to really turn around in all these aspects, we need unity, we need cooperation, we need dialogue, and the present geopolitical divides are not allowing it to happen. We need to change course.
On the war in Ukraine, Guterres said, we are talking of levels of devastation that are not possible in situations where the nature of the armaments and the military capacity in place are completely different.
Most of the crises I have witnessed are crises in developing countries, relatively poor countries, and most of them are internal, even if afterwards there is an intervention of external powers, but they became as civil wars or terrorist activities inside the country. Now we have a war between one superpower and Ukraine, that is also a modern country, and we are talking of levels of devastation that are not possible in situations where the nature of the armaments and the military capacity in place are completely different.
Guterres also focused on funding education as a way to ease the gaps in equality. He added that it is necessary to provide debt relief mechanisms for countries badly affected by the coronavirus pandemic. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
More international news now in Global Wrap. People protested outside Tehran's Amir Kabir University of Technology following the death of a woman in custody. Iranian police said on Monday that the death of a young woman in custody was an unfortunate incident. Mahsa Amini, 22, fell into a coma and died after her arrest in Tehran last week by the morality police, sparking protests in parts of Iran, including Tehran and the Kurdistan province where she came from. China on Monday made it clear to Washington that it will not tolerate any activities aimed at splitting the country and will take necessary measures to protect the sovereignty. The warning came after hours. President Joe Biden again said that the US military will defend the democratic and self-ruled island if Beijing tries to invade it. SpaceX on Sunday launched 54 Starlink satellites into low Earth orbit. The launch from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida was the sixth flight for the Falcon 9 first stage booster. Bad weather last week scrubbed several launch attempts. Starlink is a space-based system that SpaceX is building to bring internet access to underserved areas of the world. City workers in the town of Loiza in Puerto Rico went house to house on Sunday asking people to evacuate ahead of the expected floods. Hurricane Fiona struck Puerto Rico's southwest coast on Sunday as it unleashed landslides, knocked the power grid out and ripped up asphalt from roads and flung the pieces around. Hundreds of people were evacuated or rescued across the island as floodwaters rose swiftly. Iran told the United Nations highest court that the confiscation of some $2 billion in assets from Iranian state bank accounts by the US to compensate bombing victims was an attempt to destabilize the Iranian government and a violation of international law. In 2016, Tehran filed a suit at the International Court of Justice after US Supreme Court ruled that money held in Iran's central bank could be used to compensate the 241 victims of a 1983 bombing of a US military base in Lebanon believed linked to Iran. And now the latest from the world of sports. Beginning with, Bajrang Punia became the first Indian to claim 4 medals at the World Wrestling Championships by clinching a bronze. Bajrang egged out close 11-9 win over Sebastian C. Rivera of Puerto Rico in the 65-kilogram category. Smriti Mandhana's 91 and a disciplined bowling earlier helped India women register a comfortable 7 wickets win over England in the first ODI of the 3-match series. India restricted England at 227 for 7. Yastika Bhatia and captain Harmanpreet Kaur scored half centuries. Bhatia made 50 off 47 balls. Kaur remained not out on 74. India will take on Australia in the first T20I of the 3-match series beginning tomorrow at Mohali. The series is being played as a tune-up for the T20 World Cup to be played in Australia next month. Real Madrid earned a 2-1 win over neighbours Atletico Madrid in a heated derby on Sunday to return to the top of La Liga. And Lionel Messi struck after 5 minutes as Paris Saint-Germain edged Lyon 1-0 to regain top spot in the French League, 1 table ahead of Marseille. And that's all in this edition of news. I will see you tomorrow, same time, to give you daily dose of news. Keep watching Sansad TV for latest updates and more informative programs. Goodbye, namaskar.